After a week on edge, protesters turned out by the tens of thousands Saturday in the nation's capital. Multiple marches converging on 16th Street, one of the main roads to the White House, protesting police violence and racial injustice. And D.C. Mayor Muriel joins us now. Mayor, D.C., as we say, had one of its biggest protests so far in these last 2 weeks. And there was very little violence. First of all, how many arrests were there? And is the violence over in the streets of Washington, D.C.?
Well, let me say this, Chris. All week we've had peaceful protests in Washington, and you're quite right that yesterday we saw our largest crowds that met at various places throughout the district and converged on 16th Street at Black Lives Matter Plaza. And what we heard was people exercising their First Amendment rights and demanding justice and peace in a more fair system. And we, as I understand it, had no arrest last night.
You have been in a week-long battle with President Trump after this past weekend, when protesters surrounded the White House. You tweeted this, I want to put it up: "Just a scared man, afraid alone." And the president, in the last couple of days, has tweeted back at you, "Grossly incompetent." Question, Mayor, why is it useful? Why is it constructive to get in a fight with the President of the United States?
We're not engaged in a fight, but we are engaged in a defense of our city. You know, Chris, that Washington, D.C., we are the nation's capital. We function as a city, county, and state. I act as the county executive, the mayor, and the governor. We're 700,000 tax-paying Americans. And what we saw last week was basically an invasion of our city. Active duty Army troops moved from all points around the country to threaten our autonomy. And what you saw, and I won't have it reduced to a spat, was how I have to defend our taxpayers. And it's sad to say that we would have to defend ourselves against federal forces.
Then on Friday, you renamed the area just in front of Lafayette Park. You renamed it Black Lives Matter Plaza. And you had this giant sign painted on 16th Street leading to the White House. Mayor, what's the point there?
Well, it's a mural, Chris, and as you know, in D.C., we have a program called Murals D.C., where we turn all types of expression into beautiful art around our city. And what we commissioned was the Black Lives Matter mural, and it's become a centering point, a place for healing, strategizing, talking, but also redress, which is a right in America, where citizens from all over the country come to their nation's capital to deliver grievances at the footstep of the people's house.
Interestingly enough, that started another fight, not with the president, but with Black Lives Matter DC, which said that your mural that you commissioned or approved was a distraction from real policy issues, and they're calling you out, saying that you are increasing funding for policing at the same time that you are cutting funding in D.C. for community intervention programs.
Well, Chris, what I know is public safety in Washington, D.C., and what our needs are in Washington, D.C. And we have invested not a penny more and certainly not a penny less than what we need for safe neighborhoods in our communities. In the same budget proposal that I have in front of my council now, in an unprecedented revenue decline because of COVID-19, increases more than 3% in funding for our DC public schools. What we also see is a very innovative policing program where we hire DC residents, send them to college while they're working for the Metropolitan Police Department. And what that does is it makes us have a force that is diverse, it has more women, it has more DC residents, and it will help us create a partnership between police and community.
Finally, I've got about a minute left for this, Mayor. You're also getting criticized by conservatives for the fact that they claim you evicted 200 members of the Utah National Guard from their hotel on Friday morning after they had just pulled an all-night shift protecting your city. Did you evict them? Because the fact is they did have to leave their hotel that day.
Well, Chris, I'm sure you're aware I have no ability to evict anybody from a private hotel. And certainly, I think the people of Utah should know this, that their governor and their senators, the United States Army, were responsible for making the accommodations for the Utah National Guard and certainly paying the bills. And we did insist that D.C. residents don't pay the bills for troops that we didn't request. But we are certainly happy that the guardsmen were comfortable in downtown hotels. And I understand that the Army has worked out all payment arrangements. So I'm not sure that anybody left anywhere.
Mayor Bowser, thank you. Thanks for taking time out to talk with us. And I hope you have and the city has a more peaceful week this coming week. Thank you, Mayor.